So thank you everyone for joining us today. I'll just, so Liz started to introduce our concept, which is Undercover Candidate, and we'll get into a little bit about what that's all about in just a moment. But I'm gonna just advance my little slide here. So my name is Maureen Saucier. I'm Senior Director of Talent Networks at the Training Associates. For those of you who haven't heard of us before, we're a provider of learning talent and solutions. So we work with companies to help complement their staff with learning professionals, be it a person or a team of people, to help them with their most strategic business initiatives. And I'm here with Bryan, who will introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bryan Dick. I am the Direct Placement Manager here at the Training Associates. Have about 9 years of experience in the staffing world and very excited to join the L&D Cares group and conduct this exercise with you guys.
Thanks, Bryan. So the Undercover Candidate Survey, when Brandon had posted about the summit and about the Learning and Development Cares group as a whole, I was so excited. I was just thinking about all of the different things that we can be doing to help make the learning and development community, their lives a little bit easier as it relates to how do we help them find meaningful work. And at the same time, we're thinking about, ways that with the implementation of technology and different tools, it's really kind of eroded the candidate experience. And, how do we kind of disrupt that, and how do we make things, hopefully start to make things better anyway? So therein birthed the Undercover Candidate Survey. And I'm going to get into that in just a moment, but we really wanted to just kind of understand what's really going on, and again, how we can figure out ways that we can make things a little bit better for everybody. So we reached out to over 250 individuals that are part of our Learning Talent Network to kind of understand, what the candidate experience was like for them. So some of the interesting facts, that we figured out, one of them being that, whoa, I went too fast. We found that about 60% of the individuals that responded had been finding their jobs through social media, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc., where only 10% were using a recruiter or some kind of a hiring manager partner to help them find work. And the things that they had kind of called out as things that attracted them to the jobs that they applied to, highest actually by far was just the way the job description was written, which is actually a good thing. That means we're doing a good job of trying to attract candidates. In addition to that, other things that kind of attract them to particular jobs was the option to do remote work, which obviously at this time a lot of people are doing, but also in addition to that, company culture. 68% of the individuals that were surveyed had indicated that it was relatively easy for them to apply for jobs, where about 32% said it was pretty difficult. Some even said it was soul crushing, which is kind of disappointing. And then we had about 60% of those individuals that were surveyed had indicated that as part of the hiring process, they partook in job assessments, whether it be a personality assessment, IQ test, writing assessments, project work to kind of show their instructional design chops and things like that. As far as communication is concerned, and this is kind of where the train starts to kind of come off the rails, 75% of the respondents received some kind of an acknowledgement of their application, where 73% of those particular people that were responded to actually got an automated email. And then of the individuals that we did survey, 28% of those individuals did get a job offer, which is great. So this is where the journey gets a little bumpy, or as we say up here in Massachusetts, things started to get a little ugly. with, respects to acknowledgement, 33% of the respondents said it took about 2 weeks to a month to get a response, where 20% still haven't gotten any response from their application, which is really, really disappointing. And then 60% said it took a month from beginning to end, meaning from the time that they applied all the way up to either they got a job offer or they were told that they were no longer part of the process. But overall, the candidate experience was rated at about a 2.7 out of 5, which is, pretty disappointing. So we really wanted to kind of dig in there. And we really feel that there is just so much opportunity for us to figure out ways that we can make things easier for the candidate. And when we make things easier for the candidate, we're also making it easier for us as hiring managers, and really kind of helping to attract candidates to our company. And I just provided a couple of the quotes that our candidates provided. One of them, the hiring process in America is now very broken. It does not take the candidates' feelings and thoughts into considerations, and respect for candidates and how they feel is gone. And that was from Joe. So like I said, there's just so much opportunity for us to kind of make things better. And Bryan and I kind of put our heads together about ways that we might be able to do that, and help you guys to kind of navigate the talent acquisition process. So Bryan, go right ahead.
Thanks, Marlene. Yeah, I'm here to discuss a couple things on the recruiting side. Talk about a little bit more about how your resume should tell a story. One size does not fit all. Some keywords to add to your resume, and just simple formatting situations and things like that. So I really wanted to talk about how your resume should tell a story, right? So you really want to talk about your growth in your career and the next steps you've taken in your career. So the manager will be able to look at that resume and be able to see your journey and see that you're looking for a growth opportunity, you're willing to take on more. You want to make sure your resume is very easy to understand. I know a lot of folks want to put pictures and cool things on there, but honestly, sometimes it's best to leave it simple just so it's easy to read. You want the person on the other end to really engage in your resume right away and make sure keywords and make sure things pop on your resume right away. So that leads us into one size does not fit all. I know folks like to have long resumes because they have extensive amount of experience, but managers and HR folks don't have extensive time to look at resumes. So you want to make it short, sweet, to the point. If you do have a 3-page resume, I would recommend getting it down to 1 or 2 pages. There are little things here and there that you might be able to take off right away if you feel like your resume is too long. Hobbies, interests, volunteer work, that's great. But I think that if that's making your resume, 3 or 4 pages long, I would cut that down. That conversation could be brought up during the interview, but the main goal here is to get your resume attractive enough for the manager to reach out. If you're working with a recruiter, if in that situation, don't be afraid to ask them for advice on your resume. If you feel like it's too long, they might be able to give you some advice on what to take off or what to add, things like that. So that leads us into keywords. Keywords is crucial on your resume. So depending on what you're applying for, I made a short and sweet example. If you're applying for an Excel specialist position, I would make sure that you have an objective line that states that you're looking for an Excel position. I would make sure that your skill section is at the top of your resume that has Excel in it, and what kind of Excel you've done before and any kind of responsibilities that come with that. Just to make sure that the keywords are big, because if a manager, again, it doesn't have hours to look at resumes, you want to make sure that you are engaged with them from the resume, right from that first line. The more keywords is going to be better for people to find you. So from a recruiter standpoint or an HR standpoint, if they are looking for somebody with an Excel background, you want to make sure you do have Excel on your resume so they will be able to find you. And again, coming down to formatting, I mean, I know, you can have a lot of keywords, but make sure that it flows well. Going back to telling a story, managers are interested in your skill set, right? So they want somebody that they know that can come do this function, if it's in Excel or if it's structural design, etc. Try not to overcomplicate this. Just keep it simple and clear. Just make sure that you have a skill sections at the top of your page. Very crucial in the recruiting world right now, because if you don't have a skills section, that would be lacking, and maybe the manager might pass on your resume. So make sure that is that's on your resume, especially at the top. And again, you can, if you're working with a recruiter, feel free to ask for advice.
Thanks, Bryan. Yeah, no, this is great information. As far as the case study, just to kind of go a little bit more deeply into that, I like, to kind of advise our candidates on when they're telling the story about their experience, be it on a resume or in an interview, is tell the story like a case study. So what business problem were you looking to solve? What you did to solve that problem, and what were the business results. And also Michelle Webb just actually did a great call out as it relates to jobscan.co, which actually does a crawl of your resume and basically gives your resume a score, and on the feasibility of your resume succeeding in an ATS system, which is crucial. So thanks for that, Bryan. All right, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, this slide is about networking and it's all about who you know. This is a funny term because it really is about who you know. For an example, if you're applying for a job, you might want to, look on LinkedIn, look in, social networks to see if you know anybody that's currently working at that company, because they can potentially give you some insight on the position and, the company and how it's doing and if they're growing, and you can get some really good insight on that if you know anybody. And also too, is if you know somebody that can put you in front of the line, that would be very crucial to the process as well, because, if the manager doesn't have a lot of time to review resumes and they have a block of an hour to look at, maybe you could have your referral, hand them your resume or anything like that, something very simple, or just guide you in the right direction. Looking at, going back to your roots in alumni and, trade schools and things like that, I think that's a huge point. If you're in a trade, definitely connect with your old professors, your old teachers. They'll be able to guide you in the right direction, or be able to give you some advice on the market. They might have some other connections as well, and other opportunities and things like that. But definitely, use your network as much as you can. If it's an instructor, professor, teacher, they love to talk and try to help you with something, or find your next opportunity, things like that. So that's crucial to partnering with your alma mater, career centers, things like that, to get you on a list where you can see the jobs that are coming in. And you always want to connect with, it could be when you volunteer, say you're doing a 5K run, and next thing you know, you're talking to a hiring manager, and they can give you some insight. They might have some openings, and a small conversation outside of work while you're networking can really go a long way. So, and then, obviously former coworkers, former supervisors is very crucial. Depending on your situation, I would reach back out to them to see if they could give you any advice, or if they're hearing anything about the market, or if anybody else is hiring. It's just really good to connect with your former supervisors and coworkers. If you worked hard for them in the past, they would be more than happy to guide you in the right direction.
Thanks, Bryan. You know what I've been noticing a lot out on LinkedIn specifically is just the generosity, since COVID, where individuals are sharing job descriptions, that they might be, have encountered in their travels, but also a lot of people are just, sharing about friends that they know that have been displaced recently. And it actually warms my heart, like just seeing, so much generosity out in the world today, where everybody's just really looking to kind of look out for everyone. And it's a good time.
Absolutely.
It's a good time to make friends for sure.
Yep.
Last one. There you go.
Okay. There we go. again, don't be afraid to ask for help, right? I mentioned if you were partnering with a recruiter, don't be afraid to ask for help if it's or advice on a resume or interviewing or whatnot. But recruiters are always going to go back for bat to you. For you, excuse me. They want to make sure that you're comfortable enough in the position and you're a good fit. So the looking at the questions and about the market in specific industry, looking at recruitment, a lot of folks will have really good knowledge about the market, and if there's a shift in the market, if they know multiple companies are hiring, or et cetera, they'll be able to guide you in the right direction regarding the market and the specific industry and what's out there. And obviously it depends on your industry, on what you're currently doing, but they'll definitely be able to give you some insight on that. And relationship building is just back to the networking piece. I think just always, talking to new people, making new friends. You just never know who you're going to have a conversation with that could lead to a great opportunity. If you're contacted by, a staffing agency or a hiring manager that's, not the right fit for you, I wouldn't just brush that off. I would make sure to try to build a relationship with that person, because they called you for a reason. And maybe this opportunity is not the right fit, but they're going to have something down the road for you that would be a better fit. But you got to consistently build that relationship and have that communication with, if it's a hiring manager, supervisor, a staffing agency, anybody that will be able to give you some insight and call you when a new opportunity comes. So, recruiters, the staffing world is, it's very hectic, and it's about consistency. If you talk to a recruiter, that, unfortunately the location is too far for you, but, make sure you have a bond with this recruiter so they'll call you again for a new position that's a little closer to home. You don't really want to wait for the recruiter to contact you. You want to be very proactive. And if you haven't heard from the recruiter via email or phone call, just follow up by email first, phone call, text, something like that. I think to get that relationship going. I think that's a very big key initiative here that we do. We really here at TTA, we really want that relationship piece too, because if we don't have something for you today, that doesn't mean we won't have something for you down the road. And it's all about who and relationship building and networking, things like that. So that leads us into resume, interview tips, things like that. Now working with a recruiter sometimes can be very relaxing. The recruiters, they'll look at your resume, they'll be able to provide you feedback, be able to provide you some information on if there is something that's lacking on your resume, or if they want to add something to your resume. They'll definitely help you with the formatting issues. If they feel like it's too clustered, they would be able to give you some advice and things like that, which is great, because if you were, for an example, applying directly to ABC Medical, and you think you have a great resume, but it's 3 pages long and weren't working with a recruiter, you might get passed on that opportunity because maybe you had some unformatting issues, or it's just too clustered, or it's too long. But by working with an agency or recruiter, they'll be able to provide you that information, so you'll have a better opportunity of getting that role. So, and then again, leading from that, the recruiter can also dive into the interview aspect of it, right? So if the client is interested in bringing you in for an interview, you'll be able to get some insight from the recruiter that will say, that he or she will say, I know the manager very well. They don't like long-winded answers. They like to be short and sweet. Typically give you information about how long the interview is going to be, who you're going to be meeting with, how many people you're going to be meeting with, what to expect. That's just a perk of working with a recruiter and a staffing agency. They'll have a lot more insight compared to if you directly apply to a client and then say, hey, I want you to come in tomorrow at 1 o'clock. You might not know who you're meeting with and how long and what to expect. You really want to be prepared as much as possible before going in for an interview. So that's a really good topic to discuss if you're working with a recruiter that you're in the interview process. Always ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because you want to be prepared as possible and ready to go for this new opportunity you have. So that being said, and Marlene, do you have anything to add on the interview side?
Well, not on the interview side, but I do, with respects to partnering with a recruiter, the other thing that I just wanted to bring up is the fact that, recruiters, especially good ones, are able to kind of think outside the box as it relates to marketing strategies and things like that. So not only are, we taking, working with customers who have jobs, but we're also always trying to kind of get creative and figure out ways that we can proactively market you to our clients based on industry experience, based on location. There's a variety of different things that recruiters can do to kind of help you find the right place to call home. So
Yeah, that was a great point, Marlene. And one thing I would add to that is being proactive is really key in a situation when you're looking for a new opportunity, because you just really want to have that relationship with a recruiter where they can proactively send out your profile to clients that are in the area. Or, for an example, if you were looking to get into 3 companies that are local and were able to have a relationship with the recruiter could potentially break in that client and potentially submit your resume to the front of the line. So there's a lot of back end work that can happen where when you're proactive, you just, you're very proactive. You're getting your resume out there. You're talking to folks, you're networking. That's going to lead to a great opportunity.
that's awesome. Thanks, Bryan. So that's pretty much what we had to talk about today. So our contact information, there are a ton of, great talent acquisition folks on here this week, and, we're really, really blessed to be a part of this organization. Thanks again to Brandon and for Liz for inviting us along. If there's anything we can do to help, please do let us know.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Marlene and Bryan. Very good prezo. Appreciate that. Lots of tips in there. I can definitely use some of those myself. So thank you. Very great stuff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.